The chair recognizes himself for a series of questions. So, Dr. Sandra Lee, let me come to you. You've heard most of the testimony here today, and do you agree with Dr. Temple that if we do away with the purchase of fetal tissue, that there is no viable alternative?
I strongly disagree with that statement, with the statements that she's making, because I know from, thank you, I know from all of the literature that I've been reading, I know from my own research, I know from talking to colleagues that there are several successful alternatives available now.
Dr. Prentice, do you agree with Dr. Temple?
Mr. Chairman, my colleague and I, Dr. Sandra Lee and I, have spent a lot of time and a lot of paper documenting that there are multiple alternatives to the use of aborted fetal tissue.
All right. So, Dr. Temple, obviously you disagree, and so all three of you raised your right hand and agreed to swear under oath that your testimony was the truth and nothing but the truth. So, tell me, Dr. Temple, where are we at odds? Obviously, you can tell I'm at odds with you, but I'm going to try to do that in the civil manner. But where are we at odds? Because what I'm trying to find is the breakthroughs that we've had in science. Long after the study that Ms. Chu recommended to our attention, long after that, we've had breakthroughs in real science in terms of what we can do, whether it be humanized mice, whether it be using the discarded tissues from neonatal cardiac surgery. I mean, when we look at this, we've had unbelievable breakthroughs, and so I'm guessing a practice that has been typically there. Is there nothing out there that would suggest that we can use other alternatives like the two doctors to your right have suggested?
You ask what the difference is. I think it's a difference in interpretation, but it's also
interpretation
a difference
of what?
In the details and an understanding of the details. These are complicated models. They're complicated diseases. You need to really delve into the details, which is why we rely on experts in our community who are truly experts in these different fetal tissue models and in organoids and in all the alternatives that have been suggested today. And the consensus opinion is that those alternatives are not sufficient.
All right, so let me ask you this, Dr. Temple. And I think it was Dr. Prentice that talked about the fact that if you have someone doing cardiac surgery on either in vitro or not, that there is discarded tissue that would have the same properties. Do you agree that they would have the same properties as an aborted fetus?
Not at all, no.
Okay, and why would they not have the same properties for research?
Yes.
Let me clarify, for research.
Yes.
So you're saying scientifically they do not have, so we can abort a fetus and we can take that same gland and they would not have, it's the same material, but it wouldn't have the same properties.
It is not the same material.
I know
it is different developmental stage and it has unique properties.
Okay, so what developmental stage are you recommending that we, because I know that you've been purchasing, so what developmental stage do you purchase fetal tissue?
So,
I mean, from ABR, what are you purchasing from them?
So for the BLT mouse, we do not generate that mouse, but I think I can provide the information as to.
But you said you earlier when Mr. Jordan asked the question, you said that you bought fetal tissue from ABR.
Yes, we
At what period of gestation are those fetal parts?
I would like to provide that information later so that I make sure
Generally,
it's
what
accurate.
first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, do you buy them all?
Not to be, so it would be earlier, most likely, but I would like to provide that if I may.
So you've never bought third trimester?
No.
How about second trimester?
I would like to provide that if I may.
So you may have done second trimester.
I would like to provide that information. I cannot
How long would
recall,
it take you
because
to
it's been
provide that?
a while. Excuse me?
How long would it take you to provide that information on what your
I
particular
think
research?
Very soon, yeah, a few days
Is 30 days
after.
enough? Actually,
Absolutely, yes.
okay.
Yes.
all right. I don't know that you can see this chart, but each one of you have been given a chart. And so the top part of that is actually the amount of money that is charged for fetal specimens, and that comes from Senate testimony. The bottom issue there is really the amount of money that came from a House report. And so I guess for me, why would there be a difference in the charge between baby parts at first trimester versus baby parts at second trimester? Because it looks like in January 2015, it was $550 for baby parts in first trimester, and then less in the second trimester. Why would there be the difference if do you have any idea, Dr. Temple?
This is not my area of specialty, as you know, so I'm unable to answer your question.
All right, so I guess the question then, it looks like from ABR, the same place that you buy some of your fetal tissue from, they sold 80 fetal...
I should clarify that we do not purchase and have not for some time, just so that you know.
You've not purchased what?
Any fetal tissue for some time.
All right, well, you've been in existence for 11 years.
Yes, within that time frame we have, but
so
not within
when
the
did you
last
stop buying it?
Again, I will get all of this detailed information for you within 30 days.
So what you're saying is the purchase of fetal tissue is not key to your research?
It's not ongoing. I am here also to represent the International Society for Stem Cell Research, the members of that society, and others in the scientific community.
I'm a little confused here. If you were using it and you stopped using it and now you're doing something else, is it just because you stopped doing the research, or?
At the present time, we are working on other stem cell types. But if there was a need in our research
fetal
to do it,
stem cell types?
actually, no, we do.
So you've taken an alternative method that you're looking at now.
For the particular disease that we work on, which is age-related macular degeneration, also tauopathies, we've been able to do this research without access to fetal tissue, but in the past we have used it in order to benefit our research programs. And
So Dr. Temple, are you telling me that science has actually progressed where you don't have to use fetal tissue for the same research, or you're not saying that?
This is the case as we have spoken about vaccine development.
Well, that's the whole reason for this hearing. I guess the whole reason for this hearing is to not get into any issue other than, are there alternatives? And if the gentleman from Ohio offered you $20 million in a grant,
May
to
I
do research,
explain?
hold on,
I must
I'll
explain.
finish. I've let you talk all day, so let me finish. If he offered you $20 million for a new grant to do research on non-aborted fetuses, would you take that grant?
The critical thing is that it will not substitute for every application and for every disease. But scientists will use alternatives where they are available. We see the value
but they
in
haven't,
that,
Dr. Temple.
but they will not.
But that's the
because
whole point. But they haven't.
Scientists will only use it if it's essential, if it's important, and you cannot misrepresent the science. Currently, these alternatives are not adequate.
And you're basing that based on your discussions with your colleagues?
And the consensus of the field, yes.
But you already testified earlier that you've not talked to anybody that's given you any...
No, I've spoken to many people. I just have not
you've
heard...
found 100% agreement with your
the
position.
misrepresentation of the science that I have not heard previously.